Jane's testimony, and we actually need to talk about what's going in court. There are a lot of theories flying around, but all of them are super, super weird. Listen, I don't know what to make of things. Everything just seemed off today. From the cross-examination with Tinny Garagos, Jane Doe's testimony, I think, actually was on point. Oh my God, there was something spicy. Hold on, I'm looking for my headphones. There was something spicy that happened in court today, okay, with the Jane Doe testimony. A heads up, everybody, we will not be doxing. If anybody thinks they know or they want to guess who the Jane Does are, please, we will have to block and remove you from the chat. There will not even be any idle chatter or guessing. Again, the identities are not important. The court doesn't care. Nobody cares. The only thing that is important is that justice is served. Now, a lot of people, the reason I'm saying this is a weird thing is because a lot of people are starting to whisper that they actually think that, hold on, I'm trying to get my thing up. They actually think that Diddy might actually go free. I don't think so. I think the prosecution has him dead to rights. I gotta be honest with you, if there is an issue, I think the most that will happen is jury nullification. But again, I want to talk to you guys about a few interesting and odd things that actually happened in court and actually break down the actual testimony. Because hey, Max Hammer, thank you so much for the super chat. Also, Paige Collison's been waiting on you. Glad you're okay. Oh, I'm completely okay. But I was literally inching around the courtroom because there is some weird energy going on. Something is going on with juror 6. Now, the funny thing is about juror 6. Hey, Carl Ellens, thank you for becoming a member. The funny thing about juror 6 is, I gotta be honest with you, no one knows why they think that they might strike juror 6. Now, let's be honest, with Diddy nodding to the jury and being admonished, and juror number 6, okay? Nobody, and here's another thing, I just found out, nobody knows who juror 6 is. They shuffled the jury around, so nobody knows who jury 6 is. With Diddy, with the nodding to the courtroom, with all that stuff, okay? Some people are saying that, could it be something? Prosecution wants this person struck. The defense says they don't care. Now, I really honestly think it was something very, very clearly improper. I mean, clearly improper. I don't think that the judge would let the prosecution and the defense argue it either way. Because I think, hold on guys, I'm just putting my headphones in. It's a little loud over here. Hold on, sorry y'all. I gotta be honest. I'm talking, what have I been doing? I've been talking to, can you guys hear me? Put a 1 in the comments if you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me just fine? Rands, thank you so much for the super chat. Can y'all put a 1 in the comments if y'all can hear me? Okay, perfect. All right, I hope this is better, okay? So listen, right? When you look at, I thought about it, and I was talking to a bunch of legal experts too. That's why I'm going live very late, because I wanted to get a take. I originally thought that there was something maybe improper, but a lot of legal experts were like, T said, you got to calm down. If the juror was truly doing something super, super, super improper, there is no way on earth that the judge would let them argue it out. If it's illegal, and the judge will take action. So they're saying that they believe that whatever is going on with juror number 6, it might be more of a technicality. It might be more of paperwork, okay? It might be something where there's nothing improper, but you fill out the application, maybe this and that. They're thinking it might actually be something paperwork. Now, I do want to say though, if it was paperwork, and if the prosecution actually thought that juror was on their side, why would they want them off? However, it is to say maybe the prosecution just wants to keep everything above board, because if they let something in the paperwork slide, even if the defense says it's okay, then even if the defense says it's okay, they might use that for grounds as mistrial. Again, baby, it's Brian Steele, it's Miss Westmoreland, it's Xavier, right? Ugly Dan said, Tisa, you yourself said a juror was saying, I told you to the juror next to her, they're not supposed to talk about the trial. So that, no, when I say I told you, it looked like she was mouthing. I didn't say that she actually said something. And that person, right, she mouthed it like, right? That person, it looks like they mouthed something, okay? However, that person's not juror number 6. Even though they rerouted everyone, that person's not juror number 6. You see what I'm saying? Layla Bullard L said that weird feelings as demons. Lord have mercy, bless you. Yeah, let me be clear. That whole thing about like I told you, they could have been talking about anything. I was just telling you what it appeared. But that person is not juror number 6. So either way, it just doesn't make sense. April Ayers, thank you so much. Now, here's what I do want to say. If you're, and we're just thinking about this strategically, if you were the prosecution, would you really want a juror off that you think is on your side, right? Would you really want a juror that you think is on your side? Again, no one knows what's going on with juror number 6, but they are saying that if there was some clear impropriety, something that was against jurors' prudence on what jurors will do, that the judge wouldn't wait for the defense and the prosecution to decide if they wanted to keep him. The judge would just kick him out, her out, right? When I say her, him, I'm talking about them. So don't make any assumptions when it comes to gender. But again, the one juror that it seemed to me that they, them was mouthing. I'm gonna keep switching up. He, she, them, her. Them. It didn't seem, they can't be juror number 6, right? Homegrown tones, legal cannabis car. They can't be juror number 6. Now listen, I'm just thinking out loud to you guys. No one knows what the issue is, but there are certain issues that you wouldn't have to. So that leads you to believe that it's something clerical, it's something paperwork. That said, we won't have to wait too long. It is the prosecution is going to file their letter. It is going to be under seal. We will see if they will release that to the public. But again, whoever juror number 6 is, they actually don't know that all this is being talked about. Why? Because they're not sequestered. Sequester means they're hidden from the thing, but they're not supposed to be talking to any outside influences. This includes social media, family members telling them about the case. They're supposed to have a media silence with the case, right? B, thank you so much. And Sarah Soar said definitely dark energy surrounding the courtroom. It is very, very dark energy. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I've talked to a lot of people, and they have gone a bunch of trials, and they are saying they have never seen anything like this. Which, by the way, we need to talk about Jane Doe's testimony and actually what's going on with that. Today was an interesting day because there's a few things, right? Calling somebody your partner and your lover over and over, and again, every witness, every victim has to testify truthfully. If that's the way you feel, that's the way you feel. But a lot of people are very, very puzzled by that. And listen, I was watching the jury. To me, the jury appears to be locked in. To me, the jury appears. However, when you look at a jury is nothing but a group of people. So if it's just a group of people, right, then you got to think, how are they actually really taking that? Again, once Diddy got admonished, you literally have to think, right? Once Diddy got admonished, you really have to think what actually is going on. You guys, there's something swirling in my head, and I don't know what it is, but it's really just not sitting right with me. I don't know if it's Diddy's camp. I don't know what's going on, but there's something swirling around that's just not sitting right. Somebody said it's demons. That's what you feel and let it go, right? That's what it is, right? Listen. Who said TMZ is in it? Who's listening to TMZ? Oh, that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about. What happened to Inner City Press? I honestly don't know what happened to Inner City Press. I do know that like he is like the Bible for live tweeting. I know that he seems to be above reproach. I know that he has been in this courtroom since the beginning, since anybody even thought of going out there. And I know especially with the Southern District of New York because people are not allowed. I know especially with the Southern District of New York because people are not allowed to video, microphone, anything like that. He literally is something that all news organizations look at. So when you say what happened to him, it is odd that he's been gone for 3 hours. I hope it's not a personal emergency. I hope everything's okay. Sherry Reddy said, everyone tune in to see Tisa on Nancy Grace. Two OGs locked and loaded. No, Nancy's the OG. I'm just literally trying to get on. Come on. What the helly, fam? Let's go. Say it for us, Tisa. What the helly? What the helly, Berry? Yana, Tisa's also going to be on Nancy Grace tomorrow, too. But honestly, right? I don't know what happened with the internet. Again, this is what I mean. It is some weird stuff going on. Now, some people say that it's some weird stuff going on. There was a video that was spread out. I don't know, there's some weird stuff that is actually going on. I will say, whoever is behind this, I don't like the fact that they actually mess with people's livelihood. I don't like the fact that they actually mess with people's money. I just don't like that fact. Let's get into some of the stuff that actually happened in court because, baby, we need to talk about it, right? Okay? We need to talk. Now, I do want to say one thing that came out interesting from the Jane testimony, right? It seems like Diddy's team is soft launching a tortured, closeted gay man defense that turned to drugs and freak-offs to cope. Is this a sympathy play, right? Because at the end of the day, Jane is being completely honest, and she shared some horrific mess, right? But it seems like it's setting up a narrative that Diddy's team is actually running with, right? Again, I get it. I've heard what everybody says. Over the tweets, her testimony may not play out as the best thing for the prosecution, but I've been in the courtroom and I feel like her testimony is really hitting, you know? I feel like her testimony is really, really hitting. I think it's really, really good, you know? I think that the jurors have been shocked. I think they've been appalled. I think she shows that there's something that goes on with Diddy and with everybody else where it's like, can you really trust this man not to be completely out of his mind? You're under federal jury investigation. Everybody knows what you're up to. People are literally looking at you like, yo, what did you do with Cassie? And you are up here molly-whopping this woman, and I don't want to hear, oh, she hit him first. There are videos showing that there wasn't a bruise on that person, right? Now, get said, they said before questioning, Judge Aaron Subramanian made several major decisions. So get this, he denied the defense's motion for mistrial. That was no big deal, right? He denied the prosecutor's motion to recall an expert witness that previously testified in the case. Now, I do have to say this. I actually think that was pretty not the best thing for the prosecution. Dr. Hughes' testimony was very, very powerful. It was so powerful, Diddy tried to get it struck. But it makes me think, is Dr. Hughes' testimony that early in the case, are people going to actually keep that in mind? And when you look at what happened with Cassie and the way they brought her out, because Cassie was under onslaught, and Cassie only had testimony for like, I don't know, a day and a half, and then prosecution had to whiff at her, and then defense had, and then she was gone. Jane, by comparison, has over, like what? It's 3 days for the prosecution and 3 days for the defense. She literally is like triple, almost, well, double at least, the time that Cassie actually testified, right? Now get this, Tenny Garagos was cross-examining Jane Doe, but the vibes were off. The energy was off. It was super, super weird. Again, as much as I talk trash about Diddy's team, we know Tenny is capable of everything. Another weird thing that happened was we were supposed to be in court until 5. We got dismissed early at 3, and nobody really knows why. That's how I had time to run around and ask people questions. We got dismissed early at 3, and nobody really knows why. Also, court's not starting until 1 tomorrow. It makes me think, is there a secret witness? Are they flying people in? What is going on? Is there a surprise witness? We do know that KK was named as a co-conspirator unofficially, okay? I don't think that she was subpoenaed to testify. When you say unofficially, nobody knows what was in the enterprise letter, but the government verbally named her as an actual co-conspirator, even though the defense was like, we object, right? Now get this. Tenny cross-examined Jane about the time she actually met with Diddy's defense team. She admits she stopped meeting with the team in April. Diddy was paying for is paying for Jane's rent and her lawyer. We are in June, right? Early June. The trial started in May. Again, let me say this for you. Jane admitted that she stopped meeting with Diddy's defense team, right? In April. She says she believes her attorney is still representing her well, despite being paid by Diddy. And she has not spoken to or seen Diddy prior to the trial since his September arrest. Okay. Tenny asked Jane if she regretted a lot of choices she made during her relationship with Diddy. She said, "I resent him for leading me to the lifestyle he led me to." When questioned about whether or not she willingly made these decisions, she said, "No, here's the thing. I actually thought she did a really good job because Tenny was trying to get her to say something, but she literally did do a good job of saying my choices were made under a lot of emotional pressure." Again, they were trying to railroad her into saying something. They really, they really did a great job. Honeybee Therapy, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. Hold on, you guys. Paul Pondering said, they said, oh yeah. Anyway, hold on really quick. Also, Arnett Norwood, thank you so much for the super chat. Also, Potent Pondering, thank you so much for the super chat, okay? Also, Savagash said, Savage Sasa said, can't wait for Tisa and the Rotten Mango collab. Oh my God, that would be a dream. I would love to collab with Stephanie, but she is a one-stop shop, okay? Let me just finish reading this. 10 minutes. Let me just finish reading this and then we can go, right? Anyway, Jane said she loved to nurture Diddy after hotel nights. She said he was my baby. She even said that he loved her saying, my baby, right? Jane said she bathed him, she gave him foot massages, and she fed him. She said she put on Dateline as his favorite show, and they'd watch until he fell asleep. By the way, I was on Nightline. Make sure you'll check it out, ABC Live, and also Nancy Grace. Your girl has a couple other collabs coming up too. Sarah Soar said, regardless, if Jane is a strong witness or not, she backs up the fact that this is not his first time. Now, thank you, Sarah. I completely agree with you. Regardless of what everybody says, she is a strong witness, and she backs up. See, here's the thing. Everybody acts like, what is a real victim, okay? Everybody acts like, oh my God, you wasn't really sad. I get that. But she fits the letter of the law for what coercion, right? For what fraud, and also I believe what force is for sex trafficking, right? I'm back, hold on. Listen, let me say this. Let me just read this other thing really quick. Sorry about that. There was one more super chat. I just want to read that for you guys really quick. Molly said, hi, Tisa. I just wanted to shout you out and let you know you're doing amazing. Love you, girl. I love you guys, too. Also, Donna W. said, when you think it can't get any messier, love you. That's what I said. I said, I don't know what's going on. Again, the reason I'm being so subdued is because I'm pondering something. I got some information. I don't know whether I should share it, but I'm pondering on how to process it, and I just want to verify it a little bit more before I report it to you guys. Virginia Martinez said Epstein also loved foot rubs. Great job, Tisa. Listen, I guess being a demon, stepping on people's necks, make your foot like tired. Now listen, in regards to the hotel nights, Jane said, I felt that my partner was trusting me in a very vulnerable moment, and well, so he made me believe that this was something really special. This was something only he and I did, and I really took that on very strongly. So she was very protective of him. But here's the thing. You need to look at the timeline, because when they were asking Jane what the timeline is, it was at the very beginning of the relationship. And Jane she doesn't hash words. At the very beginning, she was down for it because she thought that she was pleasing them. But oddly enough, they keep reading text messages. And in the text messages, you can see she's trying to kind of push him away from getting with the really, really freaky deaky stuff. You know what I'm saying? But hold on, y'all. Let me get back into this. She also said, right, in the messages, you could tell she was uncomfortable and she was trying to push it away. Now, Tenny asked Jane if she regretted a lot of the... Oh, sorry. Jane said, as time went on, it was very conflicting to me internally because I'm breaking all my own boundaries just to make him feel extremely loved. She said Smex with Diddy, regardless of an additional person joining them, typically involved role play. She said Diddy would offer her E and direct her. She said some role play scenes she would play into his cheating fantasies, like basically like, oh my God, my husband's not here, and you ordered a pizza? Oh, where are you going to stuff that? Anyway, CMCH said, amazing job. Your energy is phenomenal, and you were great on Nancy Grace. Love the collab. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it, and thank you for such a kind word, CMCH. Now get this. She said a scene she played would go like this. Sean left town, and I'm home alone with me and whomever, and I'm sneaking in this entertainer. And it's just me and this entertainer fantasy talking about Sean is on a plane, and I couldn't wait to get this entertainer all alone. Jane testified that at times Diddy uplifted her. He said he invested $20,000 in her clothing line. She said she felt she only made 10% of what she could have earned during the relationship with Diddy. I believe that. And Diddy also testified that she got $4,700 only monthly in child support. I mean, I guess that's a lot. The audio of Jane expressing her happiness on a trip they took was played for the jury. On the audience, she said, everything just feels good and I'm so happy. She said she was speaking about the trip and the time spent with Diddy, excluding escorts. Jane said that at first she did not mind Diddy's dating a lot of women when they were getting to know each other, but she fell for him when she wanted him for herself. She said the relationship became difficult when Diddy began dating someone who's rumored to be saying, I didn't sign up to date a man that was in a public relationship. That is because she is not public and she's not front facing. Jane said she realized Diddy was a rug addict early on. She described an instance where his hands would be shaking, eyes and gums were turning gray, and the eyes were turning yellow and the teeth were turning gray. She said she suggested he go to a rehab clinic in Thailand. She says the relationship progressed. Okay, listen, we got to talk. There's a lot of weird things in this case, and I really don't know what to think of it. It's just a lot of weird things, and there were weird stuff. Listen, Jane, let me just put it out there, okay? Jane's testimony was completely believable and credible. The fact that they're making a whole big deal out of her saying my lover and my partner, I'm not putting too much credence into. Why? Well, for a couple of reasons. The first is being she is talking about what happened in the relationship early on in 2021. We know from the prosecution it descended into hell. And you know what it is about consent. You might have said yes in the beginning, but what happened after you said no? Because that's when you realize a lot of people with sex trafficking, with the pimp lover boy, love their pimp. They think it's a relationship. They think that they are having sex with other people to help the person, to save the person. Again, when you look at sex trafficking by fraud, this is sex trafficking by fraud. If you take out all the noise, if you take out all the chatter, if you take out all the, but she said she enjoyed it. Okay, but that was 2 years ago. That was 2021. We are now in 2025. Do you have anything else? When you take out all the noise, it is sex trafficking almost to the T. When you take out all the noise, okay? So where does that leave us? It leaves us talking about the noise because, again, I can't shake it out of my head that he hired her lawyers, the first ones, paid for them, paid for the house, fired the first lawyers he hired. She did. And then she hired new lawyers that are also being paid by him. It's odd. It's weird. And I wonder, honestly, in my mind, how the jury took it because I couldn't get a read on them. But it was just weird. Now, just saying, why do I think he's still doing that? Some people have things that are like, oh my God, it's Jane's a plant. Jane's this, Jane's that. But you guys, that doesn't make any sense because why would you gamble with your freedom? Because as much as people say, oh my God, this is class, but like they hit everything for RICO, for crime, for arson, for robbery, and for sex trafficking. And get this, for sex trafficking, you only need one count. So even if you don't believe Jane, you believe Cassie. You only need one count, right? But also, right, when you get into the fact that he honestly, truly did that, and I'm just thinking through something here, you also look at it to the fact of if you're already under for witness intimidation, for tampering, for all that stuff, if he cut off rent and he cut off the lawyer now, that would be a slam dunk case. It would be a slam dunk case. Miss Sweet Cincy said, I finally managed to catch you on live. Thank you so much for your update. You're welcome. It would be a slam dunk case. B, thank you so much for deleting that. And Stephanie Shalamingo said, T, did you hear that Inner City Press was banned from the hearing? I do not believe that Inner City Press was banned from the hearings. That said, I don't know. But I don't believe that he was banned from the hearings. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. But we will see tomorrow. We will see tomorrow. Just because he has so much integrity and he's so careful, I just don't believe that they would do that to him, right? Exactly. Sierra Side said, hoes can love their pimp. It's about control. And that's the thing people don't realize. What do you really think it looks like? What do you really think it is? Also, Debrella, thank you for showing love from Bermuda. Thank you for showing love from Bermuda. Listen, a lot of times, and I've said this before, and we need to actually really start talking to people and talking about the real. Part of the reason why domestic violence and all that stuff takes so long to actually get prosecuted and so hard is because they do love the person. They do love the person. They don't want to see them go to jail. They don't want to see anything bad. They really think like all they want is for something to step in so that person returns to that person they think they know, the love bombing, the sweet person, the person they love. They want that person to return to that person so bad that they will even get the police involved, they'll get the feds involved, they'll get everybody involved because they want that person to return because they love that person. The thing is, it takes them years of therapy to unravel that they never knew that person. The person they love, the reason why, and this is in all relationships, but especially in toxic relationships, the reason why that person can never go back to who they were no matter what is because you need therapy to realize that person was never who you thought they were. That person you met at first was the lie. That's why they can't go back to it. It was the lie. Who you're dealing with now, who beat your head and who stomped you, that's who you were always dating. That's who you were always dating. And it takes years of therapy, years of help. And a lot of people never make it out. They self-blame, they self-medicate, they hurt themselves. They start on a string of abusive relationships. So to hear somebody say, my partner, I love her, I'm not gonna lie, it does sound weird. It does sound weird, but there's a reason it sounds weird because they have in fact been brainwashed and they are a victim of fraud. They don't realize that they were catfish. So I get it, you know? I do want to say this, right? Listen, Ivy Rose said, that's why this is so triggering. It's not about Diddy. It's not that. It's that there's so much ignorance about how abuse and trafficking works. People use their misunderstanding to blame the victim. I agree with you, right? Sasha Joe said, hey, what message do you think it sends to the jury that Jane's lawyer is being paid by Diddy? I don't know. The jurors' faces were stone-faced. I saw a little movement, but I couldn't get a read. I know that the courtroom was shocked, but I couldn't get a read. It was really, really odd. But I will say that, like, I wish to God, I think one of the most devastating things that came out for the prosecution is they're not going to be allowed to actually call up Dr. Hughes because Dr. Hughes is needed right now to explain to people. Again, all victims think they're in love and they want to protect their abuser and they start blaming themselves. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. Jane needs a lot more time and knowledge for counseling. She's early in trauma. She is, but she's saying all the right things too. Besides calling her my lover and my lover and my partner, she is reading that man to filth. Even talk about the gray gums and everything. So there is something to be said. But listen, you guys, listen. Let me think about this a little bit more. I swear to God, I'm going to be alive later on tonight. We'll do a big sit down. I just need to think about this and put my ear to a little thing because, like, by the twitching of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes. And I'm just trying to figure out what it is. Anyway, you guys, let me know what you think in the comments. I'll be live later on tonight. I swear to God. I'll talk to y'all later. All right?